Greetings. This is Justin Allen with the Elite Nurse Practitioner. Welcome to the Elite Nurse Practitioner Show, podcast dedicated to nurse practitioner entrepreneurism and achieving financial freedom, where I talk directly with nurse practitioners who need help. Listen up, our market is saturated. Jobs can be scarce. We are underpaid. We are undervalued. We are taken advantage of by the sharks within the healthcare system, and frankly, screw that. Sick of it, and it's time for a change. And listen, I'm here to help make that happen. We are powerful. We can forge a path where we are in control of our career and ultimately our financial and personal well-being. You do not need to submit to healthcare administrators and your doctor overlords. You do not have to take the measly salary. You do not have to work 50 to 60 hours a week. There is a different way, and I'm here to show you that path. This podcast is raw and unfiltered. I have not talked with nurse practitioners in this podcast prior to the call outside of an email exchange to schedule the episode. What you're about to listen to is a consultation session between a nurse practitioner and myself. It is real, it is unscripted, it is unplanned, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Anything and everything can happen during our conversation. The nurse practitioners in these episodes are struggling with an issue in their professional or financial life, and they have reached out to me for help. My goal is to help a nurse practitioner with actionable advice that will enhance and improve their professional, business, and financial life. My other goal is to hopefully help my nurse practitioner sisters and brothers build a more productive, powerful, and free life. So I hope the content and information within these podcast episodes does just that. All right, onto the episode. Hey everyone, today we'll be talking to Brian, who is a family nurse practitioner. Currently, he is working at a sick visit clinic full-time, as well as doing some occupational medicine on the side. He is in the process of starting a men's health clinic, but is also thinking about doing some functional medicine. He's needing assistance with the startup process, which services to implement in the practice, and basically just, when to get started. So, hey Brian, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for hopping on here. So, hey, tell us about yourself. How long have you been a nurse practitioner for, and what sorts of things you've been up to?
So actually, I just finished doing my re-credentialing process. So I apologize for the looks like a Black Hawk flying by. I have a newborn inside, so that's why I'm outside. My wife's home taking care of him, and I just saw her walk by. He's crying, so that's why I'm outside.
It looks nice and green. Where are you at?
Man, South Florida.
Oh, okay.
Miami.
I was going to say, man, it looks nice out there.
Yeah. We're still in shorts and t-shirts out here.
Yeah. I'm in Colorado. I'm wearing a hoodie. So, all right.
We did have a cold front actually recently down here in South Florida, that it did get cold that everybody brought out the parkas.
Yeah, you wear twice a year kind of a thing.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, anyways,
I've been a nurse practitioner for 5 years. I actually was one of the COVID cohorts. We actually had to go into like whole Zoom process and everything. Mm-hmm. So I graduated pretty much August of 2020. So I had an online graduation. It was weird. So
yeah, let's not even go there. That entire time period was just horse shit. But anyways,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I know. You don't have to tell me twice.
Yeah.
I know. So long story short, so I've been a nurse practitioner for 5 years, and I worked in actually a pediatric ER for quite some time, and then worked in urgent care setting. So I've always been in the in and out clinics setting, so getting a one-stop shop. So that emergency acute care aspect is my background. So right now I work as a family nurse practitioner. I've always worked in like a retail clinic full-time, and there we do kind of like preventative vaccines, PPDs, and we do a lot of sick visits. So that's kind of what I've done as a nurse practitioner, and then a workers' comp clinic too as well. So it's pretty cool. I've gotten two different aspects of medicine there, and that's my background. So, but now I really want to venture out into entrepreneurship, and I stumbled upon your information and your podcast, and I've gained a lot of knowledge and a lot of push and to be able to start something on my own, because you have a lot of content out there, and I appreciate that. So That's why I wanted some info out of you.
Okay, cool. All right, so let me just understand your just goals here. So you're wanting to start a practice, but I'm assuming you're probably going to continue working as well for a period of time. So you're going to do this on a part-time basis. So is your schedule like, do you work like 3 or 4 days a week kind of a thing, or what?
So exactly what you said. So it is 1 week is that Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then the other week is Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. So that Friday, Saturday, Sunday is a whole weekend. So I work every other weekend. So I do have that flexibility to be able to do something during the week. And if I need to do something on the weekends, the weekends I'm off for a couple hours, I can.
Yeah.
Just to kind of establish the clinic, I could do that.
Yeah, I think that'll be okay, man. I mean, that's all I ever did. I mean, most people who start these practices start on a very part-time basis while they continue to work, so that's completely fine. I mean, I was working at an urgent care, working 3 or 4 12-hour shifts a week, and I had my men's health clinic going, a medical cannabis clinic going, and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, you should be okay just doing, 1 or 2 days a week at your practice. That should be okay. A lot of people get worried about, what's my availability going to be like if I'm working full time and my clinic's part time, like, is that going to be a problem for my patients? And it's not really going to be, because that's going to be your availability. Like, people are going to schedule during your availability, right? So you're just open 1 or 2 days a week, man. That's all you really need to do at first. And then once it starts taking off and you start making some more money, that's when you can start cutting back at work, go from full time to part time and go more full time into your business. And then hopefully a year or two from now, you'll be able to just quit your job. You know what I mean? Okay. So what kind of practices are you wanting to start?
So I'm really into the whole TRT. That's a lot of the information I've gotten out of your podcast, and I've been very intrigued about that world. So really, that's like the hormonal therapy aspect of it is really what I'm into. I do like the functional medicine. Here in South Florida, there is like the whole healthy. Let me find out a little more deep into my labs and people are willing to do self-pay. Not every market here in South Florida, not every city or town does it. So I feel like there is a little bit of an avenue there, and I feel like that's something I've always liked. I've always liked that style of medicine. So I'm open to that.
What part of South Florida are you living in?
So northern west Miami-Dade.
Okay, all right. Because I know, like, certainly the Miami area is pretty saturated with this kind of stuff. So have you identified any areas that are within an hour drive of your house where you can open up something where there's not going to be, a whole lot of competition? Have you thought about maybe going more central Florida or something? Maybe going a little inland or something? Or
yes, but I'm very honest with myself, and I'm very transparent. I don't want to do that. I don't. That's not something I'm willing to do. I know that you've mentioned that countless times in other podcasts to other individuals here in South Florida. But there is when you do Google Map or go jump on Google and type in men's clinic in certain areas that are up and coming here in Miami, there is none in those little cities. And those areas tend to be more affluent, so there is more cash, with people willing to do cash services. So I have looked into that, and there is none there. I just haven't looked to see if there's any office space less than $1,000 in those areas.
I doubt it. Not in South Florida. Probably not. I mean, unless you can find something that's just extremely small in like a shared office space or or an office.
I did find two. I'm sorry to stop you. I did find two right here in my neighborhood. Which is definitely doable. There is a game day men's health clinic right here in the same neighborhood too as well, and it is less than $1,000. It is $730, and one is for $500. I just haven't contacted them yet. I just did see it. I'm at the beginning. They're at the beginning stages, so there are two less than 1,000, and it's not far from the house, which is nice.
How big are they? Do you know?
It is like. It's open office space. It's not, and it's small.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're competing against Game Day, which is a corporate-ran franchise men's health practice. They're very, they just cookie-cutter protocols and stuff. I mean, the providers typically don't really think for themselves. It's just they follow protocol and that's it. So the care that guys get at a Game Day is going to be, inferior to what you can provide them, really more personalized kind of care, that sort of a thing. But you are going to be competing against them. And corporate clinics like that really prioritize their marketing I mean, one of those will open up, and 3 months later, they'll already have 55-star Google reviews. You know what I mean? Like they got their shit buttoned up. Like they know what they're doing. So you are going to be competing against a clinic that really has their processes dialed in. Okay, so you already have that. You know, it's not a roadblock. It's definitely a speed bump. So just kind of be aware of that. It might be ideal to maybe look at a little elsewhere outside of the area that doesn't really have a big competitor like that. So rule of thumb, in a big metropolitan area like, Miami-Dade, I mean, there's millions of people in that area. Millions of people. And so there's plenty of business to go around. But I'd say the rule of thumb here would be, if you can open up a practice and within I would say probably like a 15-minute drive radius of that practice, if there's 100,000 people, 150,000 people within a 15-minute radius of that practice, and there isn't any competition and within that 15-minute radius, you probably are going to be okay. Because generally with these kind of cash-based practices, one practice typically will do very, very well in a town, city, municipality, whatever, of about 100,000 people. You'll do very, very, very well. Now, people open up practices in towns of 10 or 15, 20,000 people who absolutely kill it and make $1 million, and they have $1 million practice. But just general rule of thumb, I think one cash-based practice for every 100,000 people is probably a good conservative way to look at it. So if you can get on Google Maps and you can find a place where a 15-minute radius drive, now I don't know what that 15-minute radius drive is going to be in that area depending on traffic and whatnot, right? But I would probably imagine 15 minutes would be 5 or 10 miles, probably. So, you want to look at a radius of that, and then look at a population density map and see if there's at least 100 to 200,000 people within that radius. And if there is, and there's no competition, in theory, you should be okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah. There is one spot that does stick out a lot.
Okay.
That I do think of a lot, and it's the one that I think of all the time.
And that game day is not within that radius?
Surprisingly, to be honest with you, surprisingly not.
Okay. So that might be a place to look into then. Is that going to be somewhere where you're talking about with the rent of $750 a month or whatever, or is this somewhere else?
It's not there. Like I said, I haven't really looked into the rent there. I did do it once, not an in-depth look. I didn't really keep Googling it to see what availability there is in that little city. Not little, it's actually big, but I didn't see anything.
Okay.
I can imagine there is. There are a lot of office buildings. I can say there are a lot of office.
Yeah, you'll probably find something. I mean, you'll find something, I'm sure. Okay, and so what are you comfortable with in terms of driving to this practice? How far away do you?
I don't mind. It is, if you're there, you live in certain parts of Miami, heading north or south on some of these highways that are not all that fun. It could take a little bit to get there, but I think the lack of competition in that area, I do see a possibility of it being worth it.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, dude, you're only going to be going here once or twice a week. You know what I mean? It's not like a Monday through Friday commute, so it's really not a big deal, So,
Yeah.
So I would just say, maybe call it an hour drive or whatever, and just take a look and find somewhere that is, that meets that criteria. So it's really, really important you pick a location, man. That's going to work for you. If you open this up somewhere that's really saturated, you're starting, on an uphill slope, and so it's really best to find that solid location. It's just like buying real estate. It's all about the location. You make money right from the get-go of, when you buy rental real estate, you make money when you close on it, right? That's when you make money. You find a good deal and you make money, right, as soon as you close on the property. Absolutely. It's the same thing with a business, dude. Like, where you pick is going to determine your success right from the get-go in many, many cases, So just really put some thought into it. What's your budget like? What do you think about investing in this?
You know, I'm since I'm such at the early stages of it. I can't even tell you. I don't know if there's something that I've heard you say in the podcast. I think like $3,000 to $5,000 more or less. You can kind of get up and running. I don't know if that's realistic. I don't know if it has to be a higher budget.
In the Miami
You
area,
know,
man, I doubt it.
yeah. That's when you had said that. I was like, I don't know if this is the Miami market he's
No,
talking about,
no,
but
not there, man.
uh,
Bumfuck
yeah,
Tennessee, yeah, but not Miami. You know what I mean? Yeah. So,
yeah,
yeah. So just kind of keep that in mind, dude. I mean, I would say you probably gonna need at least $10,000, and it really just depends. It's your biggest expense is gonna be that clinic, that physical location. It's gonna be your biggest expense. And if you're on a tight budget, dude, you're gonna need to find something that's already built out. You're not gonna be able to afford building something out. You know what I mean? You find some
yeah,
retail location where it's an empty shell, you're gonna have to go in there and put walls and stuff up. And that's gonna increase your cost by $50,000. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
you gotta find something that's built out, something that's already ready to go. And so if you really make this more of a concierge men's health kind of clinic, dude, you could get away with just a very simple office space of 300, 500 square feet. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, especially if it's like a very concierge based kind of thing. And with men's health, functional medicine, I mean, you're going to be seeing one patient at a time. So you don't need to have a big waiting room. You don't need to have multiple offices. You know what I mean? You don't need to have multiple exam rooms. You don't need that kind of stuff. Just one room is probably fine. So just, I would say just be very, very lean if your budget's going to be closer to the $10,000 mark.
Okay, yeah. That's what I was expecting you to say, somewhere around 10.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't. I think 5 is real lean, like real lean.
That's going to be hard,
Um,
dude.
I know. I trust me. I know. Here in the Miami market, like even trying to get things for free is hard.
Yeah.
A Facebook Marketplace, the couches, the chairs, exam tables, the whole nine.
Yeah.
So either way, long story short, I would run it lean. The concept and idea I have, I mean, sounds like the information you were just providing, which was seeing pretty much a patient an hour, and then allotting that, seeing pretty much a patient within 30 to 45 minutes, and then giving myself that 15-minute grace period between patients to then be able to rotate that same office space,
Yep.
kind of keeping it lean for the first 2 years, realistically speaking, at least for the first 2 years.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's what I'm leaning towards. So
Yeah, my men's health clinic, man, when I first opened it up, like I said, I mean, I've said this before, it was in a shithole. I mean, it was in just a real dumpy place. And, I think my rent was $700, $750 a month or something. It was cheap. And we stayed there for about a year, and then we were making enough money for me to justify moving into a better place that was on a main street, a nicer office, that kind of a thing. So it only took me a year, So in your case, it might take a year, it might take 2 years, it might be, you might get to the point where you have a really solid base of patients and this is working and you're making $50,000 a month. Why move if you don't have to, So it's just gonna be just one of those things where you're gonna have to just kind of figure it out, I mean, I know people who have $1 million practices who are in a salon suite, So yeah. Okay. All right. So what specific questions do you have for me in terms of what are you curious about with the startup process?
all right, so the startup process is more of gaining like that knowledge foundation and feeling real comfortable with the protocols and knowledge. I know you do have some courses, and I wanted to talk to you about that. If you can give me some feedback, especially in your early stages of your men's health clinic, what mistakes in the early process did you make that you wouldn't recommend now and steer away from?
I would say probably, oh geez, man. I spent a lot of money on marketing. That was a waste of money. I mean, you really got to think about, I probably wasted tens of thousands of dollars on marketing avenues that just ended up being a complete waste of my money. So I would be very, very cautious where you spend your marketing dollars, if you spend any marketing dollars at all. All right. If your Google business listing is set up right and you have a good website and you have lots of reviews, people are going to just automatically find you. All right. So one of the biggest mistakes I made was just spending too much on marketing and doing the wrong things, like, radio ads. That was just a total waste of money. Putting ads in Bed Bath and Beyond's. Like, what the hell was I thinking? There are men's health clinic patients in Bed Bath and Beyond. You know what I mean? Like, it's a total, total waste of
100%.
money. Like
Epic fail there, bro.
epic failure, man. It's like putting a men's health clinic in, some Victoria's Secret. It was stupid.
I was like, might as well just put Victoria's Secret at that point.
So like it was just a waste of money, man. So like, really be thinking to yourself before you spend money on marketing. Are my patients actually going to see this? Are potential patients actually going to see this? And is this really worth it? You probably really don't need to spend a whole lot of money on marketing if you have that business listing with lots of reviews on it. Because the beautiful thing about men's health and functional medicine really is that a lot of patients are looking for it. Make it easy for them to find you, right? And that's typically free. It typically doesn't cost any money to do that. So I'd say that was probably one of the big mistakes I made, was just wasting money. Another big mistake I made probably was not really buckling in on expenses as much as I probably should have. I wasn't keeping track of what meds I had in the clinic. I wasn't keeping track of supplies. I wasn't a very good steward of the finances probably the first year of that business. So I would say probably really try to be a little bit more on the stingy side with money and really try to keep track of where your money's going, because it can really get away from you really, really quick. Like, you're just like, where the hell is this money going? You have a lot of money coming into your business, and then just so much of it's going back out, and you're just like, where's the money going? You know what I mean? And if you don't keep track of it, you'll never know what to fix. You'll never know kind of what leaks to plug, So just really be keeping an eye on where the expenses are going, where the money is going. You might be signing up to a subscription for something and not even realize it, and you're spending money on a monthly basis and have no idea what you're even paying for, right? So just kind of keep that in mind.
Okay. Yeah. I did that, like, the past year. I've been like dabbling with like business ideas and stuff like that. So I've gained a lot of knowledge in like business, and everybody that's like in your position that's made it through in their business career, everybody, no matter what industry, does the same thing. It's figure out your numbers, have some sort of book where you can figure out what your expenses are, pretty much your P&Ls,
Yep.
Understanding what your P&Ls are and your monthly expenses are, which I know in our world is really payroll. Once you start adding on,
Yep.
The expense of having somebody will be that, and then overhead here in Miami, it ain't cheap, so trying to figure that out. And then I feel like software can get carried away, so I'm a little nervous about that.
Dude, you need
wanted your
one.
feedback on that.
You need one piece of software. You just need an EMR. I mean, most of these EMRs have everything you need in it for the most part. You know what I mean? You can get a very cheap EMR. You don't got to go crazy here. Like, you can use Simple Practice or OptiMantra, either one of those. I mean, you're $100 a month. You know what I mean? It's really not that much money. And all your scheduling, everything is in there, right? So outside of that, you just need a payment processor, basically. So like software, I wouldn't worry about. You don't need a bunch of stuff, dude. You just need an EMR. I mean, I know people who operate their practices and literally don't have any kind of software whatsoever outside of like using an app to schedule with. And they chart in Google Docs. They basically just use a they just use a Google Business Suite where they can get in there, use Google Docs, Google Word, the Excel in Google. Like, they just use basically, that Google suite of apps, and they run their business with it. It's all in like a Drive file or something, and that's free. You know what I mean? So you can go really, really lean with it if you want, but just get a simple EMR, dude. I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, I was looking at it because I know you mentioned it in one of your previous podcasts, OptiMantra, I believe.
Yeah.
And I did look at it for like one day there at work when it was slow. and I did jump on their website and then did see that they do have a lot of like automations. I'm huge on that. I'm huge on AI, trying to make it make the business as efficient as it can, and lean. So I did see that they do some automations too as well. So like appointment reminders and stuff like that. So which is nice. Which is modern, I guess. It's a modern take.
Yep.
So
Yeah, OptiMantra, dude, is pretty much all you really need. You don't really need much of anything else. Okay. I would not use OptiMantra for payment processing. That's basically for anyone listening to this. Do not rely on the EMR for payment processing. Most of them will deny what you're doing if you're providing niche-based stuff like HRT and weight loss and peptides and stuff. So just get a separate payment processor and just do that outside of the EMR. That way you don't got to worry about it. All right. I hope everyone's enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick break to thank everyone listening and also give a big thank you to all of my social media followers and email subscribers. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our email list at www.elitenp.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Email subscribers will receive updates on new weekly podcast episodes, multiple weekly articles we publish, new courses, and everything else related to helping you succeed. Remember, all Elite Nurse Practitioner courses are designed to help you build a niche practice, increase your financial strength, and to break free from the rat race. If I can break free and then other countless nurse practitioners can break free, then so can you. Additionally, please share this podcast with your other nurse practitioner sisters and brothers out there. The more NPs that venture out on their own, the stronger our profession will become. Now, let's get back to the episode.
yeah, I know you've mentioned Clover in the past.
Yeah, Clover, QuickBook Go QuickBook Go payments seem like they don't really care. You can also just Google high risk payment processor and just sign up with one. It's not rocket science. Just pick one and go.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't dived that part of the business. I haven't looked into yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I figured eventually I would get into that and stumble across Clover. So.
Yep.
So yeah, man. That's where I'm at. Is there? So, how do you feel about for like the business aspect as like influencing and being on social media and as like providing educational reels? Is that something that is worth dabbling in and wasting my time in?
No, I think it's a waste of your time. I mean, a lot of people, that's their only, it's their predominant lead source is their social media kind of page. You know, they build a presence on Instagram and TikTok or whatever, or YouTube, and they provide valuable information that's specific to the topic they're talking about. You know, if you're going to open up a men's health clinic, you just talk about men's health topics. Or if you do functional medicine, you talk about functional medicine topics. And, 15-minute, 30-minute videos, little, short clips, whatever. And I know people that's their predominant lead source, and they do very, very well with it. And so, yeah, it can work. It's just, you don't know if it's going to work or not until you really just give it a try and send it out there and see if it hits. You know what I mean? It does tend to be a little bit of a longer game, and that's where most people fail when it comes to, I'm not going to say going viral, but, going, I guess it's kind of the word. If you go viral within a little space, I'm not talking about creating a video and getting 1 million views. I'm talking about creating a video and getting 5,000. That's still pretty impressive, really. You know what I mean? So you kind of just go viral in quotation marks, and to do that process, it does take some time. And where most people fail is they give up. They stop doing it after 2 or 3 months because they're just not getting any kind of traction. And what they don't realize is that they could have been 1 or 2 months away from really hitting it. You know what I mean? They could have been 2 months away from greatness, so to speak, and they gave up before they were able to get to that point. So if you decide to go that route, you have to just tell yourself, I'm committed to this, and I'm going to be consistent with it. I'm going to post 2, 3, 4 times a week, and I'm going to be consistent with it, and I'm not going to stop doing it for 1 year. Like, you have to just tell yourself that, and you can't get discouraged when you create a video that you think is fucking great and you send it out there and it gets four views and one like. You can't just be like, oh, well, you know what? Screw this. I'm done. You can't get discouraged about that. You're going to have a lot of failures when it comes to posting on social media, and you're going to have a couple wins. And so you just got to be really, really consistent with it, man. Like, I got a buddy who owns a men's health practice, and he posts on TikTok all the time. And most of his videos have a couple thousand views, 20 likes, you know what I mean? Something like that. But every once in a while, he creates a video that gets 300,000 or 400,000 views, or even he has a couple that have gotten 1 million, right, with thousands of likes. But that's very, very rare. That's 1 out of 250 videos he creates, right? And then the rest of them are just kind of, like I said, they're just there. So you got to be very, very consistent with it. But if you do that, you can get a lot of leads and a lot of patients from that. There's a guy on YouTube that I follow. He's an MD, and he talks about various men's health topics, and his videos are great. I love his videos, man. They're like, he references research studies, and he talks about topics that are relevant within men's health. And most of his YouTube videos, man, have a few thousand views. Like, that's it. Like, you would look at it and be like, nah, there's no one's watching this really. But there's a lot of comments on the videos. So even just 4,000 or 5,000 people who are viewing it are leaving comments, and they're engaging with it, right? But every once in a while, he'll publish a video that'll get a couple 100,000 views on it. And so he has an online telemedicine men's health practice that he does. And I went to his website and I clicked schedule appointment, and he's not taking any more new patients. He doesn't advertise. It's just his YouTube channel, dude. Right. So you got to be consistent with it. He's consistent with it. The other guy's consistent with it. So you just got to be very, very consistent with it, and make sure you develop content that's actually valuable, shit that people actually want to listen to. Don't just regurgitate shit that AI gives you. That's boring. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, there's just a lot of medical professionals out there that do talk and provide valuable information. I am one of those types of guys that will go in there and I build trust through their social platform, whether it's YouTube, Instagram. Really, those are the only 2 platforms I do go on myself personally. And that's where I gain trust in these individuals, because they provide very valuable, well-knowledged sources of information. So it's like what Alex Hormozy, because I have watched a lot of his videos over the past year, and he has said that, like, social media, in order to be relevant, you have to post a lot, you have to post very frequently, you have to do more than what others do, and it's be very consistent. And it's exactly what you said. It's a long game.
It's a long game.
So yeah. So I'm just trying to stand out, because when I do look around here in South Florida, and it's about providing that knowledge and building that trust from someone you don't know. Before they even call you, they're going to feel like they know you, and they already got some information, so they trust the information you're already providing online without even talking to them. So I feel like that's how I can stand out too as well in very saturated markets. So that's why I'm very intrigued on your take on something like that.
Yeah, I'd say go for it, man. It's free. It just takes work. It just takes time to do it, right? So I say go for it. Just try to figure out what you're going to talk about, really, man. And when you start seeing your patients more and more, you'll understand what their concerns are, what they're talking about, what questions they have, etc. You can get on subreddits for men's health, Facebook groups that talk about men's health and testosterone replacement therapy. You can just start scrolling through it, dude, and start seeing what are people asking? What are people talking about? Well, guess what? There's your topics to talk about for your social media posts. It's that simple, right? So I'd say it's a good strategy to go with. If you do that and you have your Google business listing and you just start getting as many reviews as you can, dude, get some friends and family, leave some reviews for you at first, whatever. You got to get at least 10 or 15 reviews on there, okay? If you do that, social media, you have a good, nice website, dude, that's probably all you will need to do if you're on a tight budget. Just realize that it might be a little slow for the first few months, okay? But people will start seeing it. People will start calling you. People will start booking an appointment with you. You can do that and make some good money. I mean, I would say probably some of the most successful practices that I know don't spend any money on advertising. just because it's word of mouth and they have a strong social media presence. They have a good Google business listing. People just call them. So yeah, you don't have to advertise. It's not necessary if you're okay being patient.
Yeah, no, I don't. I care to provide valuable information like social media, and that being my marketing
Yep.
budget. My marketing budget is like the subscription to having like Riverside or Descript or something like that, and that be my marketing budget every month.
Yeah.
Something that does like op these things like that. That would produce like short form clips. I do. Me and my buddy do actually have a podcast too as well. So putting that out there. So I do have in regards to like location for the clinic. So I wanted to pick your brain in regards to that and see what you had to say because so at my son's school there's a dad's club. And I don't know if maybe you've talked about this in another podcast. I just haven't heard it. But at my son's school there's a dad's club and there's a good presence in it. But the problem with that is that all these dads live locally in this neighborhood. So if I were to go to that other town here in Miami, none of those dads live in that area. So I feel like I can get some lead source from them, but I don't know if it's worth dabbling like that. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I mean, dude, that's your patient. You know, I mean, those are your patients. Dads, middle-aged men, like,
Yeah.
take advantage of it. See if you can get something going there for sure. Yeah, that's going to be your predominant patient is going to be the middle-aged dad. That's going to be the majority of your patients. You very rarely will ever have a patient that comes in that doesn't have any kids unless they're young. Yeah, go
How
for it.
about I guess maybe the question is like, is it worth putting the clinic in that area that's like about 40 minutes in traffic, give or take, away from here, without traffic, about 25 minutes, give or take. But it's locally here when we say, okay, we're going to that city, you'll be like, oh, you're going there, okay, but that's a drive, so people hesitate to go there. So it's more of opening the clinic here because it's convenient, and I do have already I feel like I have a good
Oh,
foundation of connections
yeah, yeah.
and the word spreading around and where I'm at. But game day is here. That's the issue. But I do have people that are also interconnected around the neighborhood that can spread the word for me. So
Um, yeah, it's kind of a difficult situation, right? I mean, you already have connections locally, but the place that you're
yes,
thinking is 40 minutes away. I mean, a 40-minute drive isn't a terrible thing. I mean, this is the thing about men's health is that, and I think in Florida, if to prescribe a controlled substance, you have to see the person one time in person or something like that is the rule, right? Isn't it? I think so.
yes,
So I believe that it wouldn't be a big deal for the patient to see you one time in person at that location and just telemed after that. I mean, you really don't have to ever have to see them ever again. Okay. I mean, that's the majority of most men's health, to be honest with you. Most people just, it's all telemed for the most part. So it wouldn't be a huge deal as long as they're willing to see you at least one time in person at that location. You can be like, listen, I just need to see you one time in person. And then after that, it's just telemed, phone calls, whatever. So I guess the question is what's going to be the biggest benefit? Is it going to be the local referral source that you have based off people you already know, right? Your connections and all that kind of stuff. How valuable is that and how big is that versus going somewhere where there's no competition whatsoever? And is that going to turn into a bigger practice, a more fruitful practice than based off of these 20 guys that you know? You know what I mean? Because those 20 guys, if they know you and trust you already, they're going to, I mean, they'll see you, dude. They're not going to care about a 40-minute drive one time. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
So like I'd be thinking more long term here. That place might be better. That's 40 minutes away. If there isn't any competition, it's it's up and coming, it's growing, etc. That probably would be your better long term play than just staying local, so you can tap into the dad's group or whatever. I mean, the dad's group is a great referral source. That's your patient, right? But But if they know you and they like you, it really shouldn't be much of a problem.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's definitely something to consider.
Yeah.
Think of.
So we got about 10 more minutes, but in terms of the men's health versus functional medicine, I know you were kind of questioning that. Are you wanting to do both, or I mean, where are you leaning towards?
Really start mental health. That's what I really want to start with, and then thinking of adding that service of like functional medicine after the fact, because I know those are two different services, thought process, philosophies, and things like that. I mean, they intertwine, yes, but at the end of the day, functional medicine is a functional medicine patient is way different than a mental health.
Yeah.
So I just wanted your take on that, on the functional medicine aspect.
Well, yeah, they're completely different patients. I mean, your functional medicine patient, the first initial visit is going to be 2 hours long, and they are going to have lots of problems, right? Your men's health visit is going to be an hour for the initial appointment, maybe, all right? Half of that time is spent bullshitting, all right? It's not a visit. Like you're just talking shit for 30 minutes, okay?
Yeah.
You know, like most of my men's health patients, dude, it's like 5 minutes for the actual visit, the medicine part of it, and then the other 25 minutes of it is just bullshit about cars or whatever, politics, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, they're completely different patients, man. So
Yep.
it really depends on what is your tolerance level for a functional medicine patient, you know. And there's nothing wrong with this. This is what people don't realize. Like a lot of providers out there think that maybe there's something wrong with me because I don't care as much for this kind of a patient, or I don't have the patience for this kind of a patient. I don't like this kind of a patient. So does that make me a less caring provider or a shittier provider or whatever? And the truth of it is, no. I mean, all of us are wired differently for different kinds of patients, right? I simply do not have the patience for a 2-hour functional medicine patient. I don't. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just who I am.
Yeah.
That's why guys like you and me worked acute care. Treat and street. Get the hell out of here. I'm done. Right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's why I worked in ER and urgent care. That's just how I practice. That's how I practice with my men's health clinic for the most part, too. The visits are short, sweet. Here you go, straight to the point. That's how I practice. And so if that was where you lean towards, okay, that's where you need to go, because functional medicine patient is a completely different breed of people, man. And God bless the providers who can do that, because I can't. You know what I mean? God bless them. I could not spend an hour doing a primary care visit going over hypertension, diabetes, and their chronic pain and their depression. There's no way I could do that. And functional medicine is a different beast. You're talking to these patients for 2 hours, going over all kinds of different problems, figuring out the root cause. I mean, it is an in-depth kind of thing. They're going to be crying. You know, they're going to be emotional. So I don't know, dude. You don't strike me as someone who is going to want to do that.
No, I mean, the way you're describing it, I think I'm backing out already. I'm backing out already.
Yeah, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, man. And like I said,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, and God bless the
Absolutely.
NPs that can do
Yeah.
that. Seriously, God bless you guys. I can't. Like, God bless you. Like, thank you for doing what you do, because I can't do that. And that's just,
Gotcha.
everyone's different, man. So, and the thing is, too, they can't do a 5-minute treat and street. You know what I mean? They can't do that, right? They're not wired for that. So everyone's different. Everyone has their own gifts and whatnot. So if treat and street, quick and straight to the point kind of a thing is better for you, I'd stick with more men's health, dude. Functional medicine is another beast.
Got you. I have one last question in regards to men's health. I know you've answered it in the past, but is it really hard to do a membership or a tiered style men's health clinic? Is it possible? Is it functional? Will you get more patients because you have a membership? How do you feel about that?
I mean, you will get more patients because a membership is like a payment plan for a lot of guys. You know, they can't afford to spend $400 on their 3 month supply of testosterone replacement therapy and the visit and the labs, you know what I mean? But they can afford $150 a month, right? So think of a membership as a payment plan. So you price in more people because there's a payment plan, okay? But you should also have the option of packages for people too, okay? So like a package is like 3 months. So instead of paying monthly, if you pay for 3 months in advance for the whole package, you know, so let's say it's $150 a month, 3 months is $450, give them 10% off, right? So you just basically, you can create packages too for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, however many months you want to pay for. We give you a little small discount if you pay in advance for it. So that does work. So you can do that. Tiers, you can have tier memberships. A lot of people do have tiered memberships where they have the basic membership for Men's Health, which is the visits, testosterone replacement therapy. That's it, right? Tier 2, the tier above that is maybe the visits, the testosterone replacement therapy, plus HCG, plus B12, plus tadalafil. You know, tier 3 would be and a peptide. You know what I mean? So you can definitely create tiers like that if you want to. Or you can just a la carte it basically. So you can just have your base membership, which should be the visits, the testosterone replacement therapy, the supplies, maybe a Nestrozol if they need it. There's still debate about if people need a Nestrozol or not. I'm not going to go into that. But so you can just have your base tier, and then everything's just a la carte. You want a peptide, this is what the cost is. You know, you want HCG, this is what the cost is, etc. So we do the membership and a la carte. That's what we do. I know people who do the tier thing, and that works as well for them. So it's just, you know, your pricing strategy is not set in stone when you open up. Okay, throw it out there, see what people are, you know, see what people want. So you can create a basic membership and have a couple tiers, and then have some packages if they want to buy 2 or 3 months at a time, and see what hits. What you might find is that most people just go with your basic tier and they say, well, hey, you know, how much is it just for a bottle of peptide? You know, you start getting people who start saying stuff like that, just go with the basic membership and a la carte the rest.
Got you. And I feel like the market here in Miami is more about that. And the guys down here are like, oh yeah, so I'll just do that, the basic, and then I'll a la carte the rest. I feel like that's the Miami market in general.
Yeah, I think that's the market in general for most of the country. Yeah, you know, the tier stuff can work, but the problem with a tier is that what's in the tier is what's in the tier. So people like more of the customizable thing, right? Okay, cool. I'll get HCG. I'll also get some tadalafil, and I'll also, you know, get a peptide next month or something. You know, so that's the model I would go with.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thanks. I appreciate that.
All right, you're welcome. Any other questions?
No other question for now, man. I think you answered everything. You gave me a good baseline. I appreciate it.
Cool, man. All right. Well, I like to end the episode with you asking me a question. You have a question for me, personal question, curiosity?
How's it been? You're a father, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how's it been being a father and going through your entrepreneurship, especially at the beginning stages?
Well, dude, I got lucky. I pretty much already built my empire for the most part when I had my first son. Okay, so I did my business first and then had kids. Okay, so what I teach younger people that I mentor, you know, especially younger men, is I tell them build your empire and then have kids, because it's much easier, right? If you have kids, now you have to deal with the kids and you're building an empire. It just becomes much more difficult. But there's a pro and con to it though, right? If you build your empire and then have kids, you're older. You know what I mean? I'm 41 years old and I have a 4-month-old. You know what I mean? Like, it'd have been much easier if I'd had that 4-month-old at 30. You know what I mean? So there's definitely some pros and cons to it. So, you know, to answer your question is, now that I have kids, you know, I have 2 sons. One's 3 years old and the other's like 4 or 5 months old now.
Same.
Yeah, same. Okay, yeah. You know, now that I have 2 kids and I still run some businesses and stuff, but it's just like now that I have those 2 kids, man, I think to myself, the amount of hustle that I did, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, God, man, it'd have been so much harder. I don't even know if it had even been possible what I did if I had 2 kids mixed into it. So I think that you personally, what you're going to need to really focus on is you got to maintain that balance and just really realize that this business is going to be more of a part-time thing, and you're not going to be able to hustle as hard as like I did 5 years ago. You probably just won't be able to do that if you value your marriage and your children. If you don't, then hustle away, man. Just expect divorce and kids that hate you, but so it's up to you.
That's not even possible with this household. I can promise you that.
Yeah. So I think you'd be okay. Just make sure you find that balance. So.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Right.
I appreciate it.
All right, cool, brother. It was a pleasure talking to you, and obviously, keep me up to date.
Yes, definitely will.
All right, man. All right, take care, dude. All right,
Take
bye.
care. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the show. Quick legal disclaimer. The content of this podcast is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as legal, financial, medical, regulatory, or practice-specific advice. For information pertaining to your specific legal, financial, medical, or practice-specific needs, please be sure to consult with your lawyer, CPA, medical director, and or your state's practice laws and the most up-to-date clinical guidelines. As always, do your due diligence when it comes to any information found online and in podcast. The content in this podcast is copyrighted by Galaxy Medical Southwest 2023 and cannot be duplicated, rebroadcasted, or reproduced without our written permission.